Hi everyone, good evening.
Hi everyone, good evening. How are you all?
Good evening,
Hello.
guys.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. All
We are good.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for taking time out today, guys. We know, especially the June attempt students, I imagine most of the students joining in today are from June, and like really thankful that you are taking out this time in a crucial, last 10-day period. But we are wanting to, pass on what we can the best so that the last 10 days can be as fruitful as the last journey has been for you.
And I'm kind of a little nostalgic today because just considering the fact that this is possibly going to be the last time that we meet before you all go write your CFE exams and then become
Yeah.
CPAs,
Yeah.
it's kind of nostalgic that this would be the last time that we'll be speaking to all of you like this
Yeah.
in this
Like
sort of a
as a
setup.
like in a tutor student
Yeah,
relationship, obviously.
yeah.
Because after that, I'm pretty sure, that we all would be CPS back like after that. Okay. So guys, how we want to structure it today. So what we are thinking is we would, just pass on our advice, our recommendation, our strategy for you for the last 10 days, give you some tips and tricks and, some admin part as well, what you would be expecting in the exam and all of that. After this part, when we have passed on most of the things for you, then we can, take some questions as well from the group. All right.
Right. So the first thing that we want to talk about is a little like strategy of what the coming 10 days should look like and
Yeah.
how you should approach them,
Yeah.
because we understand that we receive a lot of questions from students and there's a lot of nervousness, and it's natural to feel that right now
Yeah.
because this is something that you have been working so hard for from the past so many months,
Yeah.
and now that the D-Day is finally like so
Approaching.
near, so it's natural to feel all that nervousness, all that tension building up. But like before we get into it, the first thing is that you just have to pat your backs and feel good about how far you have come.
Yeah.
Literally, in these coming 10 days, we'll come to it. But you should actually go back to the cases you started writing
Yeah.
when you started your preparation a couple of months back.
Yeah.
And you should yourself acknowledge the difference that you see in yourself over this journey
Yeah.
today. How much you've learned, how much of experience you've gained, how much of understanding you have developed.
Yeah.
From an exam perspective, yes, but also from a finance or like an accounting perspective, or as a professional, how much you have gained through this journey, right? So just like take some time, look at those initial few cases you wrote and just like acknowledge and embrace that journey that you have
Yeah.
kind of endeavored. And I'm pretty sure that once you do that, that is something that will give you a lot of confidence that you actually have come this far.
Right. And an important, a takeaway from this session should also be that, this process that you followed with us, where we were able to, coach you and mentor you, just believe in the process. There would still be areas where, you can improve. Sure, that would be even until June 1. So, but just believe in the process. The part you have done until today, that is something you can surely trust upon. So just believe in that and feel that whatever you have prepared, you are good for the exams for that. So, as a part of the strategy for the last 10 days, so let's just, sort of break these last 10 days into two parts. One would be the next week, the next 7 days, and then the last 3 days. So, if we discuss about the last 3 days first, because that is pretty straightforward. Last 3 days, 2 or 3 days, depending on your own comfort as well, focus on spending more time on day one. So just because day one obviously is your first case on June 2. So just focus on the last 3 days, more reading about day one, especially the last 2 days. And that is the time that you can dedicate completely towards day one. Then a day here or there, you can spend towards revising your technicals back again. Because the thing is, when you come back from your day one exam, you would have very limited time. We would come to the time management as well, how you do that, but you would have very limited time. So, always make sure that, or in fact, you should strategize as to how you should be spending that time.
But in just what we're saying is that June 2 is your day one exam. So 1st of June and 31st of May, these 2 days should be dedicated to day one.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that 2 days should be enough. But
Yeah.
again, what we are saying is something that
Like
you know
generalizing,
is
basically.
well, yeah, we're
Yeah.
just generalizing it. But obviously, if you feel like you've read capstone one case and you feel like, I've written 2 day 1 cases and I'm good, even one day before day one, if you just want to completely dedicate those 8 10 10 hours, that is completely up to you,
Right.
right? Whatever,
Yeah.
however you feel confident in that.
Yeah.
And if you want to give that extra day of 31st of May for day 2 or day 3 revisions or whatever, then you can definitely do that as well.
Yeah. Right. And then the first 7 days should, like the next 7 days from here on, there are three parts to the next 7 days, which you can basically strategize according to your own comfort. One is, surely you should revise all your technicals at least once. That is something, we would recommend all the time, because that technical, we have always been saying, gives you a lot of confidence. And the thing that you have done in the last, 3 4 5 months, that is something you need to revise once, surely, so that you can easily reproduce the technicals wherever needed in the exam. Obviously you have nausea to refer to, but still, revising technicals is one of the key points. For
if you if you look at it from that perspective, in the past few months, 2 to 4 months, depending on each student, you have been preparing in a scattered way. Like some days you were revising, some days you were doing technical, some
Yeah.
days you were watching a strategy session, some days you were just writing cases. Now these 10 days are the days where you will kind of like bring all of it together.
Yeah.
Bring all those pieces together. So that is why we are saying that it's broken down into three parts. The first part is revising all the technicals again.
Correct.
The second part is that you go through those cases that you wrote and you
Yeah.
kind of give a quick revision
Yeah.
of what all you learned from those cases. What were the mistakes you did in each of
Yeah.
that case, and what were your debriefing notes for yourself?
If you were following our advice at that time, we used to mention that whenever you are debriefing your case, you should mark on the right side, wherever you are seeking, like seeing some like that there is scope for improvement, or where you could have done better, or even though you got a C, still what good takeaway you took from that. So if you were noting down those comments, great. You can just go into the case directly, even without reading the case. Just go into your response, read those comments.
You don't have to read the full case and the response. That is not what we are saying. You just have to go through the improvement points or the
learnings.
or
Yeah.
the learnings you took from that case.
Yeah. So the purpose is because, let's say there was a case where a question on procedures on an IPO case was asked from you. IPO is something which is not generally asked. So that is one of the, you can say a one-off question. So you just need to, basically glance over that again, just in case if that comes up, you are able to reproduce that. So basically, so that you do not make those mistakes which you made in the last 4 months, because it is very natural for for anyone here. If you wrote a case 5 months back, that is something you may be making that same mistake again.
Because you would have forgotten that by now, right? That is the thing with when time passes, you just keep forgetting some things. But then when we say you have to revise technicals and you have to revise these cases, that does not mean that you sit in one stretch and in the next 7 days,
Yeah.
first 4 days you just spread and you're just revising.
Yeah.
That is not how you should do it. The third thing that we were coming to is case writing.
Yeah.
It is very important even now that you still write. For example, we would say just one day 2 case
Yeah.
in the next 7 days and 2 day 3 cases. And the reason you should still continue writing a couple of cases is just so that you have now built that speed.
Yeah.
So you should just, from a speed perspective, you should still, be handy
Yeah.
with that typing speed and thinking speed and the whole process.
Yeah.
If you can try to write it in like an exam like structure, exam like timings from 9 a.m., starting 9 a.m., so that your body clock, can get used to it a little bit. So try to do it like that. So, and now the three things we just talked about, you have to scatter these three things. For example, in the next 7 days. So, for example, let's say, let's take that this first day is on Monday.
Yeah.
So, Monday you start revising, for example, let's say tax, or for example, financial reporting. And then you revise a one case alongside that.
Yeah.
Like you mix and match and
Yeah.
spread it across those 7 days.
Yeah.
Then after 2 days of revision, you can write one day 3 case.
Yeah.
Then revise for the next 2 days. So like that, you can again, you can break it down as per
Yeah.
your convenience or however you wish to
Yeah.
do it. But the point here is, or the objective here is that you need to kind of sum up everything that you have done in these 10 days. So it's very important that not only technicals, but you also go back to the cases that you wrote.
Sure. And just to add on to that, so, completing these three parts, you can, maybe do an estimate or a ballpark number of hours that each of these items may take, because, each of you have written different number of cases. Let's say someone has written 20 cases and you have those comments handy. Just estimate how much time it may take for you to go through those 20 cases. Then, sort of spread it across the next 7 days is what we want, like maybe doing FR on one day and then slotting some past cases depending on the number of hours you can commit and it may take for you. So, just do that planning, because we don't want, as Guneet mentioned, we don't want you to be in a situation that you have just revised your technicals and yet then you didn't even reach your past cases, or if you did both of them, you were not able to write a couple of cases, because that is very important to maintain the flow. And again, we can understand that the last 4 5 months were very strenuous and it is exerting. It is a very, so basically it like sucks energy out of your body actually. Like that is how the process is. It is the same for everyone. So, just the last 10 days or 10 plus 3 days. So the next 13 days is something, just keep that energy on. But at the same time, still try to maintain that focus on your health and energy, because mindset is very important there.
Yeah, because eventually it's all about those 3 days, how you perform in those 3 days. So we still have around 10, 11 days to go. So it's very important that you stay in high spirits and
Yeah.
like feed yourself all those good things when you start your day, and be proud of yourself, because eventually all of this is going to help you,
Yeah.
right? I can say for sure that you guys have gotten much better over time, and
Yeah.
you're now very close to what you need to actually clear the exam,
Yeah.
right? But it's just that having confidence in your own self is very important, right?
Yeah. And like strategy is one of the words that we have used for maybe thousands of times in the last 6 months. There is a reason to it. We have seen students, we like repeat this example. We have seen students prepare with us in 2 months and pass. So the reason is not only our guidance and mentoring, the reason is also because of the strategies that you need to deploy. So although we mentioned these 3 points, but that does not take any light away from the strategy sessions also. So whatever things you learned in strategy sessions, we know that those are not written on a piece of paper. Those were in a 10-hour session or a 15-hour session in total. So whatever takeaways you noted down, so do revise that too, because those are equally important. How do you structure your case? How to, because let's say tomorrow is your day one exam, we are at 8 p.m. and you have 2 hours to, and then you go to bed. So then the last 2 hours, maybe you can spend just on the day one structure. What is actually important? What will actually, give you that extra edge in the exam? So strategy is equally important. Just reading through the day one response may not be enough, because you need to understand in the end, if you know the structure, irrespective of the case, irrespective of the questions, you would be able to, do well. Right. So that was the first part, where we wanted to go through and discuss about the next 10 days, how they should look like for you. Now, perhaps, we can discuss a bit on the admin side of things, what you should be taking to the exam, how the exam environment looks like, things like that, because there are multiple questions always around it. What can I take, how the exam would be, or the exam environment would look like. So we can address a couple of them from here.
So the first thing is the timing of the exam. Most of you have received emails from the institute already. So the timings for the exam is like the exam would start 9 a.m. on all the 3 days, right? And you would have again received the details for the location or the venue of the exam. So generally, the exam hall is like a big auditorium.
Yeah.
The way it works is that they'll first have an entry space where there will be tables laid out, right? So on those tables, you can bring your bag. Obviously, there are people who are traveling from far, so you have to bring your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And you bring some sort of notes or some whatever water bottle or things
Yeah.
like that. You bring everything with you. So what you can do is that your cell phone is something that you cannot take into the exam center. So whatever things you have brought in, you can just keep your bag on that table, and when the time comes, then you know like start going into the hall,
Right.
and then they start taking your registrations, and then they give you like whatever space is allotted to
Yeah.
you to sit. But again, that being said, it is a huge hall. There's a lot of people in that same hall, because I remember that in Toronto there's only two centers, and you can imagine the number of people who give the attempt, and all of them distributed in two centers means that each center has a huge capacity of students to sit.
Right.
Right now, for the digital clock.
But maybe if we like move in chronology
Okay,
from here,
let's do that.
like when you should be reaching, or in fact even before reaching, when you should be waking up. So on that we want to mention on the body clock. So see, because the exam starts at 9 a.m., you are expected to reach it says 7:30 sometime, but generally people reach around 8, 8:15, 8:30. That is the maximum you should do. So plan accordingly, plan your travel. Obviously, if you are in Toronto or similar areas, so it takes time. So just plan how you are going, because all of that anxiousness adds up in the exam. Mindset is very, very important, which is why, we are coming here with you and discussing these small little things. So obviously, maybe let's say you start at 7 from your home. So when you should be waking up, so the time that you would be waking up, maintain that body clock for the past few days. So the last 3 days leading up to June 2, maintain your body clock similar to that, so that when it hits 9 or even 8, your mind is sharp. Because if let's say if you wake up a little late generally, so your mind should be sharp on the days of the exam.
Yeah, your mind should be awake by 9 a.m. to, start writing cases all of a sudden. So, like, we did the same thing. Like, we, went backwards, and we thought, okay, maybe we have to wake up by 5 a.m. so that we can have our breakfast and everything done by 6, 6:30, speak to our parents, stuff like that. And then we leave our home at, say, 6:30 so that we can reach around 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah.
So that back calculation. And then you try to follow it. Like 2 3 days
Yeah.
before as well, so that your body can actually start waking up around 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you have your breakfast early, so that even your like
Yeah.
schedule or digestion schedule is fine like that.
Yeah.
So it is very important that you try to follow it if
Yeah.
if you can, because otherwise, if you just like if you're waking up around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. on normal days, and all of a sudden tomorrow's your exam and you have to wake up at 5 or 6 a.m., then obviously your body is not used to that.
Yeah.
Right. So this is very
Yeah,
important.
and even the digestion should, like the which Vineet mentioned. So basically, taking bio breaks would be very difficult in the exam.
Yeah, it sounds very
So
silly, but
I know, yeah, right. So we still want to mention it to you, because we don't want that to be a surprise. One bio break means like you're getting taken away 10 minutes of your time.
because like I said, the auditoriums are huge, so you will see people running to the washrooms. There could be lines, when you go to the washroom. So all in all, what's happening is it's wasting your time. If you have to use the restroom during the exam, you're wasting time. As
Yeah, is what we mean.
weird it sounds.
Yeah. So you wake up in time, reach the exam hall. Okay, so now you have reached the exam hall. Now you're in the exam hall around 8:30. 8:30ish, they would allow you to go to your respective areas where you are you are to sit. And then as soon as you sit, so there would be a laptop obviously on your table. The laptop, because there are a lot of questions around laptops as well. So generally people use around 14-inch when they are at home. So in the exam, generally you should be expecting around 15-inch. Whether there would be a numeric tab or not, it it generally is, but
Yeah,
don't count
generally
on it.
is, but again,
Yeah.
you should be flexible because you don't know what you will see.
Yeah. So there would be a laptop, and around 8:50, 50, or in fact 8:55ish, you would receive the booklet of your exam. So of the case that you are getting. So again, the case you will receive in hard copy form only, right? And you would be sitting, and then talking about clocks, there would be digital clocks all across the exam hall. Plenty of them. You would be able to see time as easily as
Yeah,
possible.
like the the digital clocks are there after every three tables, so you see numerous digital clocks around you. You don't have to carry a watch. I think you can't carry a watch, right? And then even if it's a 24-hour format, doesn't matter because the exam is in the first half,
Yeah. In
right?
the morning, it would be 09 only.
Yeah.
So
So it's all right. And then digital clocks will be everywhere. And then the best thing is that you get earplugs. They will provide you earplugs, and you should use them. The reason is that there's hundreds of students sitting in that same hall, and then the clicking and tapping of keyboards gets a little overwhelming, because the thing is that there might be you are somebody who's following the reading timeline first. You're reading the exam first and then starting writing the response. But there can be students who just read the first page and they start making outline or probably start responding. We don't know and we don't care, right? But the thing is that at that moment, that can build anxiety. Sometimes if somebody who's sitting right by you, they're typing very fast, and if you hear their noise, you will be like, oh, I'm still thinking, I'm processing. So things like these,
will
they
happen.
can make you
Yeah.
anxious.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you use those earplugs and just focus on what you're doing. Just look straight and don't, even think what the others are doing
Yeah.
at that time.
And those earplugs would come really, really handy. Out of both of us, I am the fussy kind that, I do like, I want to be really focused when I am there. So earplugs actually come really helpful. So, okay. So perhaps, we can discuss what you can take in the exam hall. So one is the exam hall where you would sit and write your exam, and one is within the exam hall, there is an area where you keep your things.
Which is where you enter, right? So it's
Yeah.
like they've separated it by a partition. So they've like you will have that separate area where you leave your bags and then enter the hall.
And you don't get any tickets for that, like wherever you keep your bags. So the bags are kept open. Your mobile, your wristwatch, whatever you want to take, you can take, but that is only up to the place where you enter. So then coming to the exam hall where you would be writing your case. So what all you can take? So you can take the basics, you can take a pencil, you can take highlighter, you can take your water bottle, you can take your snacks, and
basically generally they say that if you're bringing any medication, because if somebody is on some medications and they need to take it, or even water bottle, they generally say that you should bring all of that in a clear plastic bag so that it's visible,
so
right?
everything being transparent,
Yeah,
basically.
transparent. You can get any fruit, you can get a snack bar. We would highly recommend that you get some sort of a snack bar or a banana or a fruit, because like the exam is long and you do get hungry.
Yeah.
Although you won't get the chance to eat them when you are doing the exam, but you will notice that right when the case is over and the case is submitted, you will hear all sorts of noises of snack bars opening, people opening their fruits and eating, because
Yeah.
it is a very tiring
Yeah.
exam.
And during the exam, you can see people running to the washrooms, right? So we are just, taking you to the exam hall mentally, because if you know where you are headed, it would be easier for you. Nothing, whatever we are talking would be a surprise for you, is what we are trying to do.
Yeah. And then take all of that in a clear bag is what we're saying. And then uh,
Actually, there are no limits on pencils. So
And
you
then-
can take 4.
the most important thing is a piece of ID. You have to take a photo ID is what we would recommend. If you have a driver's license, take that. You need to have a photo ID for your registration to be done. So please do not forget that. One thing is the ID, which is very important. Water bottle is really very important because the exam is very long. So don't forget that. Third thing is a wired mouse, because all of you already know that the alt tab function does not work.
Yeah.
So that means that you end up using a lot of mouse when you are switching between tabs, Word, Excel, Nausea.
Yeah.
You will need a wired mouse.
Yeah.
They don't provide a wired mouse, but you are allowed to take a wired mouse.
And you should.
You should take a wired mouse.
So that is something you can practice on. So sometimes
Yes, you
people
should.
question about laptop, which laptop I should practice on. Just ignore that because you can't guess. Because what you can use is your own wired mouse. So surely in the last week or so, whenever you are using your laptop, just do use that your wired mouse. And no, we cannot take a wired keyboard.
Just what we mentioned is all that you can take. And I think you should have received an email from the CPA body as well. And they clearly mention what all you can take and what all you cannot. So wired mouse is the only piece of equipment that you are able to take. Other than that, you cannot take any wired keyboard or any sort of earphones, nothing else.
Yeah. And like night, we receive this question quite a lot. Like, can we take your technical books? No, you cannot.
Like you can take it with you if you're
Only
going
until
through a cab and you're revising and you reach the hall by 7:30, you can take it, but then you'll have to leave it in your bag. That is the point. Calculator you cannot,
yeah.
because they are you are
You can take
provided
a
with
sign.
a
Yeah,
sign.
yeah. Like you are provided with a scientific calculator.
Yeah.
But again, you first, like the first premise is whatever calculation you are making, that should be visible to the examiner or the
Exactly.
person who is reviewing. So if you do that on your calc, it doesn't matter, right? So you are not able to show it. So which is
So
why people don't use it.
so people, you will always, and even with our course and in our case markings or strategy sessions, we always emphasize on doing calculations on Excel, right? So try to do that.
Right. Okay, so that was a bit about, the admin part of things. Surely, we can take some questions once we are done, discussing our
Is
part.
all of it done from here?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So one thing, we want to mention here is, okay. So one thing we want to mention here is that, you know, mindset is really, really important when you enter the exam. And even in these 10 days, sometimes even the last 10 days can be defining. We have students who were not able to prepare due to their personal situation, personal circumstances, but they prepared in these last 2 weeks, 10 days, like, slogged it off because they could not do it because of their personal situation, and they were still able to clear. So, you guys have done so much already in terms of your technicals, in terms of your case writing. We have reviewed many of your cases as well. So you have done the major legwork. From here, only what can distinguish, and this we did mention to a couple of students whom we thought are deviating from the path, is mindset is very important. If you won't believe in yourself that you can do this, it gets tough. That is what we want to mention here. Just believe that the process that you have been through has helped pass more than 400, 500 students, right? So if you know that the process you followed is right, and maybe you wrote a couple of less cases, that's fine. We have seen people, who wrote just 6 to 8 cases and they passed. So mindset, strategy, structure, that is of more essence at this time. And at this time, you cannot write 20 more cases. You can just write a couple of more cases, right?
So again, just saying the same thing, that it's very important. One of the other things is that if you see a question come in the exam, which is a one-off question and you have not prepared it, we have said it time and again that you don't have to worry about it. The reason is that most of the students preparing for this exam have been doing the same thing that you have been doing. So if it is a question, for example, which comes from employee compensation or some other vague topic which you didn't do, you just have to keep faith that that is a question that the whole examination hall would be struggling with.
Yeah.
Right? You are not alone, because we don't want you to end up in a situation that while reading the case you come across this one question that you feel, oh, this is a question that I don't know or I didn't
Welcome,
read.
baby.
Can you, I think there is someone on the call who is on. Okay. Yeah.
What were you
Apologies.
saying?
So, uh, I think you're talking something about strategy. So we just got a bit distracted.
Yeah, so I was saying that we don't want you to end in the situation where you're reading the case and you come across this one question that you see that, this is something that I have not prepared. And then all your thoughts derail towards just that one question. And then what will happen is you will lose track of all the other questions that you already know of. Right, so you have to keep confidence in yourself that even if there is one or two questions that you don't know, it is absolutely okay.
Yeah.
It is something which is one off or which is difficult for the whole examination center.
Correct.
Or like all the students who are writing the exam, you're not alone.
Correct.
Right, so you still have to give your best on the other ones. And we've already mentioned this a couple of times that a difficult question does not mean that you just leave it.
Yeah.
You, instead of allotting 20 minutes to it, you can maybe
Like 7,
allot
8 minutes, like 7, 8,
10
10
minutes,
minutes. Yeah.
7
Yeah.
minutes, but give it a shot.
Yeah.
Try to write whatever you can. If it is an FR question, maybe start writing the issue, the gap, go to nauseous, maybe try looking if you are able to find something which can
Yeah.
click with that. But do something, because if you don't do anything, you will just get an NA, right? But if you do something, you might get an RC,
Yeah.
because the marking could be lenient on that
Yeah.
very question. So it's very important that you go with that and you don't derail yourself just because
Correct.
you came across two questions that you didn't know.
Yeah.
There is a whole big exam sitting there which you know.
Yeah.
So do your best on that.
Adding on to it, let's say if this is a day two situation which Guneet mentioned, and you did miss two questions. Let's consider it. You did 11 well, you missed two questions. Couple of offshoot advices here, which emanates from this point is one, don't discuss your exam with anyone else. Period.
To the exam, don't
That is period. So
do
you
that.
you should not.
Ravneet and I discussed it.
Yeah.
One of the questions or two of the questions, we both had different answers, but
Yeah.
then we both passed, right?
Yeah.
But then at that point, it can create tension that, oh, maybe I did it wrong, maybe I, missed it. And then there's a tendency that you'll go back home and you'll start searching for the day two notes.
Don't do that.
What I did, was it correct or not?
So your attempt is done. And because why we are telling you, because obviously out of our own experiences, but then in the last attempts, last 2 3 years, we did receive messages and calls as well from students on a day two. We are not expecting calls from you on day two or messages, because even if you did not do so well, just believe that that is done.
You have to move on.
You may still pass. We have seen students passing and not expecting to pass. So why you are discounting yourself? So after day two, don't discuss it with anyone. Okay, you can, if you want to drop us any, communication, okay. But we would suggest you to just move on. Just
Focus on day three, because you just have a handful of hours to prepare.
Yeah.
You should not spend that time drooling over day two. Move on to day three.
Because the time is very limited. Like 2 o'clock, the exam would finish for your day to 9 to 2. You come back around 4ish. You have your lunch. Maybe take a quick nap. You are maybe fresh by 5, and 5 to 9 is what is all that you have. So just 4 5 hours tops, because you need to keep your mindset for day three too. Because you are
And I will tell you that the day you come back from your day two, your mind will be so exhausted. You will not want to study anything for day three. It
Yeah.
will be that tiring, because that is 2 continuous days of strenuous exams. Day
Correct.
one, then day two,
Right.
and then the last leg is day three. So you will really not be in very good spirits by day two, but you have to pick yourself up, right?
Yeah. And we have mentioned this in strategy sessions, so which is why we are mentioning, still go back to the strategy session, see what your takeaways were. Do not take any question on your ego, is our suggestion. So when we say that, we mean you started on for your day two on from FR. Generally, the first second question is relatively challenging. You had allotted, let's say, around 18 minutes for to that. You cannot spend 35 minutes on the same question just because you think that standard was your strength, because the question can be as difficult, because like we are into tax accounting practice as well. We ourselves in real life do face such complex situations which takes days of our time, and you are given just 20 minutes is what we want to mention. So don't take it on yourself that you have to do this because this was your strength. Do it according to your strength, but only in that allotted time. Otherwise, you are ruining another AO which you could have done better.
And the next thing that I want to talk about is that we always ask you to prioritize your elective role questions on day two. So and I think we went through this many times, even in the strategy sessions in course, that when you read the case, you make pointers in sequence of the questions you come across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but you prioritize your elective. So for example, if the fifth question that you wrote was assurance, then you start with the fifth one first, but that keeps the sequence also. You are still maintaining the sequence of exam, but you're just prioritizing what you want to do first. Now, that being said, the objective of saying that, or advising you to follow elective role first, is just so that out of the 7 questions in elective, you are able to do justice to them.
Right.
So we keep receiving this question time and again that if one of the audit questions is related to FR, which it always is, because they always
Yeah,
ask you to
procedures.
provide to provide procedures on the FR accounting issues.
Yeah.
If you are done with the 6 AOs on audit, then you can keep that one on hold. You can move to FR or management accounting, whichever you feel like you will be able to do good first and finish early, maybe, or whatever your thought process is at that time. And then you can come back to audit, right? But like, it's not set in stone that you have to attempt all 7 questions of audit first and then move to FR.
Correct.
It's just like we're just directionally guiding you that directionally your focus should be on elective first, because that is something that you do not get to write on day 3. That is the point, right?
Yeah.
So like, try to do that. And then like, one thing is that you would have noticed that since we have started teaching you, we have been emphasizing the fact that you cannot miss even one AO. You cannot miss even one AO. The only reason we keep saying that is because you need to have that mindset that I have to attempt all the AOs in the exams. But now I can tell you that I myself on day 2 exam, I missed one and a half question, one question of, I think there was only 2 questions of MA in my attempt, and I missed one question completely. And the second one that I attempted in the last 5-7 minutes, that was very difficult. I didn't know, but I still wrote something. I wrote some formulas that I could think of and I related it. But I still passed. So and the reason for that is that I had to take a washroom break. So I just kept, like, for some time when we were coming back home, we were commuting, I was just like thinking that, oh, if I could have waited and I didn't use the restroom during that time, I could have attempted the other AO as well. But then you have to get over it, right? And the point here is that you go with the mindset that you have to attempt everything, but even then it is possible that you might miss one AO or two AOs.
Yeah.
And that's completely all right. But you don't go with that mindset that I will only attempt 11 AOs or I will only attempt 10 AOs. Because if you go with that mindset, you will not be able to attempt them. You will end up attempting only 8 AOs.
Yeah.
Right? So that is what. But then on day 3, I was able to balance and I did not miss even a single question. Right? So it's a balance, right? You just have to be positive and kind of just like go with the flow.
Yeah. At the end of this story, there is a please note as well that management accounting was our strength. So we always used to think whenever we, when back in the day when we were preparing, we thought MA is something that is back of our hand. We would easily be able to do it. And imagine on day 2, MA was something which was challenging, not only for us. We like sort of keep on repeating the same thing, but not only for us. It was for like everyone there in the in the exam hall. So that is the mindset you need to take when you are seeing a MA question which you think is difficult or challenging. Then you know this is difficult for everyone. Let's just move on. I'll just spend what best time I can. So there is a story behind everything. Although those were challenging, but when we were preparing, MA was our strength. So you need to leave that ego that okay, that I will still do this MA question, because had we focused on the MA question, then it would have been very difficult.
And then just one thing there is that out of 2 MA questions on day 2, since I had missed like almost both of them, so I just have it in the back of my head that on day 3, I cannot afford to miss an MA question. Now, that in no way means that I prioritized MA first. And I did not go by sequence, that I did not do anything of that sort, just that I had it in the back of my mind. I still, in day 3, you always follow the sequence of the case because you never give a priority to anything. And there are 3 cases, so you have to follow the sequence. So I just did that. So I know we had some questions about this, that if I miss FR on day 2, or if I miss MA, a couple of questions of MA on day 2, should I prioritize them on day 3? I think you should just be normal. First is you should not miss anything. That should not be a priority. Even if you miss one question, you should be all right. Just that on day 3, make sure if at the end it's a situation where you have a choice between two questions and you only have 10 minutes left, then obviously you should go for the FR question probably.
Yeah.
But again, that depends, right? I can't comment what the other question would be, if it's a tax question or if it's a strategy governance question. So that is why day 3 is, equally important.
Another unpopular question that we receive is what sequence should we be writing on day three? So case one, case two, case three, or case three first, case two second, and case one at the end. Just follow the sequence. As simple as that. Because no one knows which one would be a difficult case or which one would be an easy case. Just follow the sequence.
And the best thing to do is, again, this is another question we received. Should we read all the day 3 cases in one go and then attempt? No. You have to read the first case, attempt. Move on to the second case, read it first, attempt. Then third case, read it, attempt. So that is how you have to do it. So in day 3 case, generally it will be just a 15-20 minute of reading time in every case. So day 3 cases will be very quick. Like when as it is 9 a.m., you'll start reading a case. Within 15-20 minutes you have started responding to the answers.
Yeah.
Then you move on to the next case, and don't exceed timings between cases. Don't do that, because you will end up missing out questions on the third case, and it is very much possible that third case was heavy on tax questions, whereas the first two cases did not have tax questions. So that will put you in a lot of risk.
Yeah.
If first case is 90 minute, please finish it within 90 minutes. If you're not able to finish it within 90 minutes, last 2 minutes, wrap it up and move on to the next case. Don't drool over it.
Last couple of questions from strategy or mindset perspective is what you should be revising in the last few days. So the last few, oh, sorry, what you should be revising in the exam days. So June 2, June 3, June 4. So when you come back on June 2 after your day one exam, then you should be knowing what exactly are you revising, because you again have just 5-6 hours. Again, after your day two exam, you again have like 5-6 hours. So you need to know exactly what you are revising.
And plan in advance.
Yeah, because when you are coming on day one, like after your day one exam, the next day, what you are attempting is your financial reporting, management accounting, and your elective, which is assurance for most of you. So it is such a vast syllabus. We did receive messages the last time around, and even the attempt before that, that students were easily able to revise our technical notes during that time frame, because how strategically we had devised that. If you think during your technical revision in the next 7 days you are able to do that, great. But if you think no, you believe that you may just override that a little bit, so plan what you are revising. And then after you come doing your day two case, now you know that financial reporting, MA, and assurance, for whom it is elective, you don't need to revise these. You just need to revise the balance ones. You would be revising your taxation, your strategy governance, and others.
And the good part is that when you are back from day 2, the next day, like Ramit said, only 3 subjects are tested: assurance, which is your elective, FR, and MA. So on June 2 in the evening, you can go through those 3 subjects. Then when you come back from day 2 exam, which is the next day, then if you still remember the revision from the previous day, you don't have to spend a lot of time revising it again. So you can simply just revise tax, SNG, and finance, right? So you can break it into 3 and 3,
Yeah.
so that it does not take a lot of time. But if you feel like maybe you should give like a fast glimpse to a couple of standards in FR for day 3 again, sure, you can do that. Whatever, whatever makes you feel confident.
And again, technicals, sure, you have to revise. You may not be going through the past cases
Yeah.
again, but go through the structures. Go
Yeah.
through what is your
The
structure
CPA way
for
of writing.
CPA way of writing for assurance, for financial reporting, especially on day two, because that actually gives you very like ease of mind. Okay, that if I am following the structure and if I'm integrating well, so I would be able to achieve the depth. And similarly on day three as well. So just have it in your mind. Okay, what are you expecting? And even when you come back from day two, obviously you would be revising things, but just have in mind, okay, tomorrow is my day three exam, or what kind of questions am I expecting? Then you will know, okay, generally there are 6-7 questions on day three. Generally there would be 3 questions on tax. So All of these things just help you prepare a better mindset because you are not expecting anything out of the ordinary. You already know what the exam should look like tomorrow. And two basically housekeeping points. One is also sort of plan your meals during these days. Know in advance what are you eating. Like we kind of got sick when we were attempting CPA, obviously due to exertion as well and due to other reasons. And yes, just focus on your health during these days. Again, mindset is important, which is why wake up on time and just have that fresh air. Go for a quick walk, whatever you like to do, just whatever makes you happy and more motivated, do that during these days.
Yeah. And then I think I just saw a question. On every day of the exam, you just get one Excel tab that you have to give your responses on and one Word file. So that means it's fine for day one and day two because it is a single case, so it goes in continuity. But on day three as well, when you have three cases, you still have to use one Excel tab and one Word file. So for Excel appendices, I would say that you can continue the numbers in continuation, like one, two, three, for example, for the case one. Now, when you reach case two, you don't have to do one, two, three again because then it can be confusing. You can just keep it like continuing, right? Like, you can say four, five, six, and then when you move to case three, you can do seven, eight, and so on. So you can keep the Excel numbers in continuity. And on the Word file, again, because the Word file is also one, you can give like a big heading in bold about the first case, then attempt it. Then when you move to the second one, start it with on a new page or like, and like give the heading in bold again for the second case.
Yeah, right. So
You can keep saving it, I think, if
yeah,
that makes you feel better and like confident that you will not lose the work that you're doing. So keep saving it.
right. So perhaps now what we can do is we would just see if there are any questions in the chat that needs to be responded, and then we'll take questions from you guys. Do we need to practice using mouse? You should. No limit on pencils. Wired keypad. A keypad cannot be taken. You can take a sorry, you will get a scientific calculator, but nothing which we suggest. Simran, I believe if you have missed anything, you can watch the recordings. We will share that afterwards. Excel will have all the functions as normal Excel. Most functions which we generally use are available in that version also. Do you mean that you cannot going into without? No.
You cannot take your calculator to the exam. They provide you with the scientific calculator.
Okay. I struggle with FR, so I always do them on last on day two and end up missing A's. Do I need to prioritize FR over MA?
Simran, it's completely up to you. I would say if you feel like in our attempt, we didn't know MA very well because they were complicated questions. So we prioritized FR over MA. We did FR first, finished them, and then moved to MA. But again, like it depends on what is the situation in the exam, how you feel. But you should do whatever you feel more confident in first.
Will the exam case studies call out for FR, MA audit, or we need to understand after reading the case so that we can pick the order of our case? I sort of didn't get that.
So yeah, sorry. So when we are saying to attempt the MA first, like you opted to attempt the MA last, so I was not sure. Like, do we get to know from the exam that this is related to MA, so I'll do it late?
Yeah,
Uh,
when you read the exam, you will
so,
know that this is an MA question, right?
so basically, we have to read and then.
Yeah, yeah, always. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is not a question answer format. This has to be, the entire case has to be read. Only after that you can start attempting things because this is also one of the questions we receive. You know, I see this question, let's say a ABC question, a FR question. I think that there is no fact pattern which is related to it. But that is your assumption, and your assumption can be wrong because you have not read the case.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So, Vish, I would definitely not recommend skimming a day two case in 30, 40 minutes and starting writing it and then
Yeah.
linking it.
And
Because
like integration is the thing that gets you depth.
like we have seen a lot of people who fail. There's people who are writing the exam second time, third time, and all they lacked in the first attempt they wrote was depth. And depth is something that
is achieved through
achieved
integration.
through integration.
Like
So
this is one of the major points when it comes to depth.
yeah, and even if you say that you skimmed the case in 30-40 minutes, I don't even believe that you will, even after doing that, you will have enough understanding of the case to start attempting AOs. So please, like give it a full read. Obviously, if it is a MA question in an appendix and you see lots of tables, you can just skim through that, but move on to the next appendix to save time.
Yeah.
But in no ways,
Yeah.
you just skim the whole case.
Yeah, and for people, if you are actually, wanting more tips on how you should be doing better on day two, because we discussed a lot, like in a great level of depth in the day two strategy session, which went on for about 4.5 hours. We did discuss, how you should be actually be focusing, because like as Vineet mentioned, there could be things which you can skim, but more or less at a high level, you should not be skimming things. Manu is asking, is it possible same standard tested on day two, day three? You never know. Anything can get tested. Anu is asking for day three.
That I already answered.
Okay.
Do we need to save the files? We already said that you can, continue doing that.
Yeah.
Doing like continue saving the files after every
Yes.
5-7 minutes.
And yes, actually, you have to write to from subject for every case, because each and every case you are given a different role, right? That is why.
Apurva, what time do we usually get the case? They will start distributing the cases before 5-10 minutes before, but you don't touch the case before that. You open it, when it's 9 a.m. and there's invigilators walking around almost every 2 rows. So they're continuously looking at
So
you.
don't do any funky thing there. Just to look, let's see what the case looks like. Okay, so will the first Excel tab be for question exhibits and the second tab?
That's right, Tanaz. Yeah. The first Excel will have the conts from the question, which are more than 10 rows. So that first tab is from the question itself. The second tab is what you will have to, answer your questions.
Okay, another question. When do we discuss about day one case? Co-question. Overall recommendation in day one. What do you recommend including in that?
So in overall recommendation, Adarsh, it generally is a summary of all the 5 AOs that you have discussed independently. But it's just that when you were going through each of that AO separately, you were just focusing on that very strategic option
In isolation.
In isolation, yes, in isolation, and suggesting if the company should go forward with it or not. But when you are working on the overall recommendation, now you are considering all the four strategies and the hidden AO. It mostly is financial constraint. So if there is a financial constraint, so now you're answering or suggesting as a CPA from an overall level that what should the next step of the company be.
Right.
So even if you said yes independently to all the 4 strategic options, in the overall recommendation, you have to analyze and see what is the cash flow that the company has. Can they go ahead with all of them? If not, which one should they go ahead first and why? So you basically have to sum up everything that you did in those individual AOs, but now you have to bring it all together. Earlier, you were suggesting or doing recommendations in isolation.
Do you remember this question? So there is a question, how is the case submitted in the end?
Yeah, there is a submit button. And I think if you go online, I think even in the link that CPA body sends you, there is a trial, like a small surpass version that you can actually see for yourself. I think that it is available online if you search for it.
Yeah.
But it's a simple submit button. There's
like nothing complex.
Nothing. I think it is a submit button. I'm not even sure, but I think it is. There is a submit button.
Okay. On the Excel, can we
add a tell you that.
On the Excel, can we add a section below all exhibits and say rough calculations for any quick calculations that we need to do?
On the right, Paul, if there is any calculations that you're doing rough, you can go towards the right and then do that. You can do it at the end. It's entirely up to you.
If in any case I missed FRMAAO on day 2, how would I know which FRMO on day 3, providing me opportunity to show? So see, Riddhi, on day 2, when you know that you were not able to perform as per your expectations, so you would know that you should generally focus more when it comes to day 3. But at the same time, the the objective of day three is to test on your breath also. So although you would have to put some extra effort on day three, but at the same time, do not lose sight of the breadth that you need to attain. Because this would happen perhaps to many candidates that you miss a couple of questions here and there on FRMA, and then you are like, I may miss depth in FRMA. Now on day three also, I will focus just on getting those C's in.
So like that now you cannot go on day three on a detailed level, that if there are six FR questions, so out of those six, which ones I should do, so that I can get depth. I don't think that you should go this deeper, because you're only going to confuse your mind with so many thoughts. Your only objective on that day is that whatever question comes in front of you in sequence, you have to attempt it, then move on to the next. You don't have to plan and think that, okay, maybe I'll do FR first, or maybe this doesn't look asking a question in detail enough, so maybe I'll do the next FR question. Don't do that.
On day two, if there is no fixed format for A1 assurance, is it okay to write? Yes, Riddhi, you can write without format, but when it comes to WIR questions, or where you are assessing the control risk, so obviously if you will follow WIR, which is weakness, impact, and recommendation, generally whenever those sort of questions come, the feedback guide or the marking key is also designed in a similar fashion. So, try to be on those lines. But obviously, if there is an ad hoc question which does not follow any format, so you can write according to your assurance knowledge.
Yeah, but try to make bullets, because it's just easier for the marker to read and mark. If you write long paragraphs, like 10 liner, 10 sentences long paragraphs, it is difficult for anybody to go through them, and it's possible that they miss out on what you have actually written. Your objective is to make things easier for the one who will mark your case. That is the mentality that you should have.
Right. How do we tackle FR and MA questions? I struggle with FR on time management.
I think, Vandita, everybody struggles on time management. The only solution for time management is just monitoring what is it that's taking more time,
Yeah.
and then trying to see how you can write less, write concise, not repeat the case facts, and keep the issue short. So just like things like that we've already spoken about a lot in the previous coffee chats, and even strategy sessions.
Question from Amar. Can you please share something regarding screen sharing, nausea, Word, and Excel? So, Amar, how it comes in the exam is, you generally get a 15, 16-inch laptop. So, in that screen itself, you have to open your Word, you have to open your Excel, and you have to open your nausea as well at the same time. All tab does not work, which is why we were suggesting during the session to take a wired mouse alongside it, right? So that you are able to navigate between things very easily.
Okay, Riddhi, next question. On day three in finance and qualitative, do you have to write in detail on the qualitative factors? See, if the qualitative factors are given, you have to do the qualitative analysis, but it is very quick. Like, I did not even used to write full sentences. I would say, if it's a lease or buy, and they're saying something about the lease, they're saying something that this equipment is going to be phased out in 2 years, and now I see that, okay, it is a disadvantage if they buy that equipment, right? So I will just say that, a disadvantage or a con, that the software will go out of service, or be redundant in 2 years. So like buying will be a waste of money. Like, I'm just making it up, but simple. You don't have to explain it, you don't have to write 2 lines, you just keep it very simple, to the point.
Tanas is asking whether in the last row you need to write candidate ID. Yes, you do need to write candidate ID in the end, and you get time separately for that. So as soon as the clock hits 1 or 2 p.m., after that, they ask you to write the student ID and submit or close the sheet. That is what they will ask you to do. How many blank pages of rough papers? I think there are two to four pages right at the end of the case, something like that. But that is relevant only if you are planning to make your outline on a hard copy. That is when it would be relevant. But I believe from our sessions that we do suggest an electronic outline, and that also not outline as such, but just a structure.
Yeah. Akshay, for the spell check function, there I think there is spell check there, but you don't have to go back and correct everything, because you will just waste your time. As long as your point is clear, even if there is a word which you wrote wrong. They will not deduct marks for grammatical errors. It should just be not as many errors that the person is not even able to read what you are saying properly. But if there is a couple of errors here and there, just skip it. You don't have to worry.
And we can come back perhaps on the spell check because it is a bit in the middle. We can double check with with someone who just wrote in the last attempt because it's been a while for us. Okay, so for day one, we need to learn vision, mission, KSF objectives, or just remember the page numbers.
I know we covered this in
In the
great
right.
detail in the strategy
So
sessions.
this is like a half an hour answer, like half an hour, it would take just to answer.
But
this.
in short, you should remember
Should
them.
remember.
Just remembering the page number will not suffice.
Tanaz, I don't think the prompts do come up for the Excel.
Even if to your surprise they do come up, I think you should go prepared and you should remember the formulas.
And there are not very plenty of formula. There are just 3 to 4 formulas that you need to
So
remember.
try to remember them. Generally, the SWOT for day one, the SWOT we can memorize and will not change. The SWOT will never be the same. It will always change.
And you don't need to remember that. It is just for your knowledge as to what it actually looks like. Okay. If we have appendices on the Excel, can we link it to our answer or we need to copy paste? No, you just need to mention that this is the appendix, like please refer appendix this, that is all. You don't need to copy paste. That is what the appendix reference is for. Split screen is like
you can minimize you can have nausea, minimize it and place it here. You can place Excel, you can do half and half, not exactly split screen, but you are able to do that.
For non-FRAOs like management, MA finance, do you recommend just listing the title of the issue?
Yeah, Garth, just one-liner title of the issue is enough. You don't have to go into great detail in 2-3 sentences that, this is the whole scenario, this is happening and this is wrong. You don't have to do that.
On day 3, every time need to write.
I think I mentioned this, Riddhi, that on day 3, only if the question gives you qualitative factors, only then you will be able to do the qualitative analysis, right? So if the question does not give any factors, then how will you do the analysis?
Good point, Akshay. On the laptop being, not working well. So we don't want to scare you, but there were a case or two, and it always happens. There are some cases where the laptop abruptly stops. So that basically disrupts your mindset, obviously. And this does not happen with everyone, but maybe like 1 to 2% of the students. If it at all happens with you, unfortunately, just maintain your mindset and just calm yourself down because you do get some additional time for the time that you have lost. So just
But this doesn't happen generally.
Yeah.
But if it does, I hope it does not. But if it does, there will be the invigilators around. You can mention it to anybody and they will be helping you.
If we have to copy from Nausea, is that different from Saint? So maybe, when you are copy pasting, so you can bold or italicize it and then do your integration in some other format or do vice versa. So just copy paste, italicize, don't bold it. But when you do your integration, just maintain normal fonts and bold it. So just to maintain that
the focus point is that you need to keep your analysis separate. Visually, your exam marker who's marking your exam, they don't want to go through the nausea analysis you've copy pasted, but they want to go through the analysis that you do. So you should bold it so that it is clearly, like they can clearly see. Because like in a lot of cases that we were marking, we saw that students like they just like kept writing in the same format, and even we as markers were not able to identify that where did the gap end and where did their individual analysis begin. So you have to do it in bold.
So Kashif, if it is about time management, we do advise the same thing time and again. Just try to break down your case response. Just try to see where you are lacking. Either it is reading or it is FR. Generally, the most common for people, either it is reading or it is spending extra time on issues such as financial reporting. These are the two major areas. If it is either of them, try to see when you're debriefing where you can cut down time, especially on case reading. So case reading, let's say if you're spending 2 hours on case reading, you know that you are over by maybe 30 minutes. So see what sort of areas you can skim, what sort of areas you don't need to analyze in as much detail. why you are spending extra time. The reason for that generally is that people like sort of start analyzing the case right there and then do the same thing again when they are writing. The major problem for FR is the ego thing that we just discussed, that you are stuck on one point because you think that you know the standard, but the question is tough, the question is challenging, so you need to move on. This is like one of the like most popular tips that we generally give. We have a hand raised from Prachi. Yes, Prachi.
Okay, just two questions on my end. Most of them were answered by you. Sometimes while solving cases, I've noticed that there is, suppose in FR, one point that one adjustment that I'm not able to make, like I don't know, and I get stuck to that point. But I started practicing that I just ignore it and do what I know. Uh, because you said that your correct answer doesn't matter. But my question is like, s- sometimes I miss a lot of them. So does it impact your question? Like if you miss in every AO, you're missing a point. So it'll just keep giving me RC, RC, RC. So it's just what I think.
It's subjective now. Like there's no blanket answer to it because it depends on the question, right? Like if it is an FR question where, for example, if you were calculating materiality in or
Hmm.
assurance, and there was four FR adjustments, accounting adjustments that you had to make. Now in that, if you missed one or two accounting adjustments, you will still be fine. But like if it is a, what can you think of an example? I don't know.
Not
I
really.
have
So,
a question. So I was doing moving expenses tax AO in one of the cases recently, but I forgot to calculate the meal allowance that is there. And that was a part of the I understood when I was debriefing the case. So does that cost
so
you
see,
like
so see, when if we are talking just about tax, you know that for tax you are required to attain breadth, right?
breadth?
That doesn't mean that you can just be okay with RC. I know, but there are three questions. In one question, if you're getting RC, the other two you are doing good. So
But even in tax, like, because the tax questions are structured in a way that it's just one question and they will ask you like four, five topics in just
Mm-hmm.
that one question. So if there is one question that one part of it that you did wrong or you didn't attempt, I think you should be fine. And one thing we wanted to highlight, but we didn't, is that whatever case marking we did for you, that was a little strict. Obviously, we have to do it a little strict, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is how you guys will know. If we just keep giving you C's everywhere, you will be overconfident then. So we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want that to happen.
yeah, so
So you don't have
reiterating,
to go by
yeah.
that I just got RCs in all the cases that I attempted
Hmm.
new mount.
So
Hmm.
reiterating this point that the case marking was a bit stringent. So we know that we were a bit harsh when we were doing the case marking, but it is in the end it is for your good. When you would actually enter the exam hall, you would know that okay, you like whatever part you actually thought you should be attempting, you would be able to do good in the exam, and which is why now we are coming back in the last leg, that just have a good mindset, because you all have gone through a very good process in terms of the technicals. Then you went through the strategy session, then you went through the case marking, then you did all of this on your own, and now in the last like 10, 12 days you're just revising all of it, right? So just believe in that process. And this is a very philosophical thing here to say, but just keep things simple. Do not overcomplicate things, at least at this time. This is a special request for the junior attempt guys here. Do not overcomplicate things. As simple as you would keep it, it will keep your life very smooth, because that helps or enables an easy mindset. If someone, let me give that example which we discussed in the last session, which we did as well. If you are still drooling over CCA, which is like the like AII thing, accelerated investment incentive, then you are not in the right space, because that is not relevant. That is not relevant for the exams as much as it was in the previous times, because that at that time you actually had the implementation and execution of that rule. Now it is no longer there and we are still ruling over it. you know so things like these, just try to be focused, exam oriented. What do I actually need to this, just basically pass this exam? That should be your focus.
Yeah, and just one other question. So while doing day three cases, especially, so we have say 11 to 12 minutes per AO is what I figured out. But some AOs run way longer, but no AO runs shorter than that time. Like, how do you manage that? Because I've tried my best, but doing the calculations and doing the qualitative analysis will take around 15 to 18 minutes in that AO, and I'm not able to bring that down, and that's giving me anxiety in terms of that I cannot even balance it out with some other AOs that take lesser time because 12
You
minutes
know
is
what
lesser.
what we can do is we did share a couple of strong responses with everyone before.
Hmm.
Can you please go through that? Because the one of the biggest things with day three is that you don't write full long sentences. You keep your answer crisp to the point, like the example that I just gave. It
Hmm.
has to be, you just like hit the point directly. Like if you say the qualitative analysis, it's not a full blown qualitative analysis that you do in day one, where you do you make two headings, pros, cons, and then you have to do 3 points and 3 points. It's not that. If there is one point in pro, just one point, that too not a sentence form, but just right on the spot that, for example, the interest rate is better. So you can just simply say, I don't know, bank loan gives a lower interest rate as compared to the other two options. That's it. That's your pro. Then you move on to the next point. Like my point is, instead of writing a whole sentence that one of the advantages if the company selects the bank loan is that the interest rate is higher, is the least as compared to all three options. So it will help the company save on money. So it is an advantage. So you see my point. Instead of
Yeah,
writing
understood.
all of this, you just simply, very crisply, just put it right there, bang on that interest rate is the least from all the options. That is a pro. That's all.
Conveying the point, but keeping it short.
Short. Okay.
So this will help you in saving time in day three.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. My question's answered.
Okay, last couple of questions.
But everybody, please go through the one, two strong responses that you have. If you're still facing issues in time management, you don't have to go through that case that the strong response relates to, but just go through or skim through that strong response to see how, to the point that candidate wrote or responded to that question, how short his points were, and how he was like still able to get C and clear, right? So that should be what you're looking at.
Okay, Tanaz.
Yeah, hi, thank you. My question, I in fact have two questions. Guneet, in that CPS session, you were sharing that you had made a plan after which day, what to do first and what to do next. If you could share like what you did at that time, like what for which subject first to pick up after day two and which to pick up in the morning. Anything on of that sort would be helpful. That is my first question. And my second
Sorry,
question.
I didn't like you're talking about the exam days.
Yeah, like after day two, should I pick up assurance first or should I pick up FR first? And what
That's
should I pick up in
completely
the
up to you.
morning?
That's completely up to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like that's up to you. If you want to pick FR first, if you want to pick assurance first, that's completely up to you, right?
Okay.
And but just like what we are saying is that have it, like you should know when you're back home, you should know that this is what I'm doing, this is exactly if you have notes, that you made yourself, if that is what you are going through, if you're going through our binder, you have some highlights or you have some comments there, but you should just know that this is what I'm going to do when I come back on day two. Similarly, when I come back on day one, this is what I'm going to do. So just that plan.
Okay, understood. And my next question is, I know we haven't focused much on the levels, but I just want to, get a confirmation that on day three, we getting RCs in strategic governance, finance, tax, and assurance. These four subjects, like other than FR and MA, is good. Like if getting RCs is good to pass, right, on day
We
three?
don't we don't want to comment on that, to be honest. So just focus on getting the thing right. I see a couple of questions even in the chat. How many C's, how many RC's? See,
Nobody knows
in
that.
the exam, ask yourself, do you have a feedback guide or a marking key to check after you write the case response? No, right? You have to do your best in those 8 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. In those 7 minutes, if you can even barely think and write a response, that is good enough. You won't have a any time to even think on that. So again, we are repeating a couple of points time and again. Don't overcomplicate things. Last 10 days, focus on what you have already done and don't think what the
Like,
result would
think
be.
about the results is
Yeah,
what we're saying. You, at this point as a student, you cannot think that the answer that you're writing, if it will get you an RC or a C or a CD, right? You don't know that. How
let's
can
say
you know that?
let's say if you are because this is a very repetitive question. Let's say if you know that you need to get RC, how would that change your approach? If you think your approach would be changed in the manner that you would just focus on FR and MA because the other subjects you just need to get a RC. That is incorrect because on day three, the objective is to get that breadth. If you won't write enough, you would spend just 6 minutes on your tax question. That would fail you on day three. So, in the end, understand the objectives. So, like, what are you doing on day three? What are you doing on day two and day one? Similarly, again, go back to those strategy sessions. Again, obviously, we don't want you to go through the entire 15 hours for those all 3 days together, but go through those notes again, what we were trying to say, what is the objective there, and don't overcomplicate things. Don't see, think about the result.
Just give your best to whatever you're doing. That's it.
Yeah.
Right, but just in terms of time allocation on day three, like I just wanted to know if like spending like lesser time as compared to FR and MA would be okay for the other four subjects.
Like, that's up to you. See, that's up to you. If you are able to wrap up a finance question in 6 minutes, good
Why?
for you.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Then you can
Yeah.
obviously spare that extra time, right?
But you
It
won't
depends.
have time.
But it depends on your speed, how you are managing that AO. If it is a strategy governance, people are able to do it quickly, and then whatever remainder time you have, you're able to do it. Because the thing is, what we give you as 10 minutes is a ballpark number, but it changes with every question, every type of question that you're looking at, right? So that is something that is entirely up to you.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, final question, Karan.
Uh, hi guys. I'm audible.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much, Ravneet and Guneet, your tips, and not only for the today's session but throughout. Right. I had a quick question. Like FR is tested both on day two and day three. So can I say that supposing revenue and non-monetary are tested on day two, so their probability kind of decreases on day three. So maybe I can focus on the remaining FR topics because FR is one thing which kind of is troubling for me.
See,
So
sometimes it happens, Karun, that on day three, the same standard does come, but in a very succinct manner, or smaller questions can come. So,
For example, in revenue, you have those consignment sales, you have bill and hold arrangements, principal agent relationships. These are questions that will not be tested on day two, but they can be tested on day three. Similarly, non monetary is not a topic generally, you can say, for day two, but in our attempt, it was in day two. What they did was they gave us one FR question. In that, they had three different topics, three different questions on three different standards. Non-monetary was part of one of that. One of that was, I think, foreign exchange. I don't remember.
yeah,
But the point is that you cannot predict what will come on what day.
like as a standard, we know that on each of those day threes, one question is generally tax. But it has happened in the previous attempts that in two cases there was no tax question. And in the third case that there were three tax questions, and those three tax questions were a bit challenging. So, don't again, repeating the same thing, don't overcomplicate. Just try to, do the same thing over and over again.
okay, from this particular point of yours, that the tax question was there in one particular case only, and and like tax is getting tested on day three, and supposing that's the last case and it's a bit tough as well, then does it make sense just to attempt the tax questions first because that would in all the three cases maybe? No, it doesn't. Okay, got it. I get it.
But how would you know that third case has the tax questions?
Because in
That
the first one I don't notice any tax question supposing,
but
and then yeah.
Yeah, but then you would have to go to day two, and
Yes.
you would have to go to case two and case three, which you
Yes.
can't go. So,
Okay.
just follow the line, just
Got
follow the
it.
chronology, and you would be okay.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
And another thing with that is like even from our notes are concise enough to revise on like on the day of the exam,
Correct.
before the day of the exam as well. But again, like when you were watching lectures, you would have made some markings or some, like
Yes,
whenever there's
yes,
something important you highlighted, you still
yeah,
have the time now. You don't
yeah,
have to the go through the complete binder. What you can do is, for example, non-monetary, that's literally like a one pager already, right? What will you do in that? But for example, revenue, if there is something that you have highlighted, you can only like simply just like skim through all of those
Yeah.
markings and notes that you have made. You don't have to read each and
Yeah.
every line in
And
the
in fact, in
notes.
strategy sessions, we also discussed this one point that, even like once you're done with the entire revision,
This is
just
for
yeah,
everybody,
just
right?
like see the index. Just see the index once. Okay, what do you feel? What do you feel about non-monetary? Okay, that there is just a couple of points. What do you feel about intangible assets?
Similarly
yeah,
related, like these are all literally one pager like standards, and they don't have anything in them if you look at
And
it from that
70%
perspective.
of the financial reporting standards can actually get done in like less than 2 hours, to be honest. And especially if you have done the revision a couple of times, 2, 3 times, even lesser than that. So last time I do remember a comment, I forgot the student's name because not every student, shares the story. So they actually mentioned on the chat that they were able to revise all six technicals on like within 7 hours. So they did extend their day a bit because you get like almost 5, 6 hours after your day. They did extend their day a bit, but they were able to revise like everything in those 6, 7 hours. So with time we have in fact improvised the notes all the very more. So you should be able to revise in similar time frame if you are slogging it.
yeah. And even in FR need, so am I right to say that my response on day two or day three would substantially be the same? It's just that the questions, and this is what I've noticed in my cases, is it's just the questions in day two are so detailed that
Correct.
we end up writing more. But IGAR approach, for example, you say, so
Correct.
even if I briefly mention the issue and the gap analysis and the recommendation, my
Correct.
substantially my response is more or less the same on day two and day three. Is that
Like
right to say?
yeah, like a typical example is about revenue. So in revenue, you have to follow the 5-step approach.
Yeah, yeah,
Even if it is on day three, you have to follow the 5 step.
But
So
you will not see that
yeah,
generally.
but
But
just as a standard.
like another thing is another small difference in day three is that the questions are very easy in FR. For example, they will test you on PPNE question. Now, PPNE is something you don't even have to go to nausea. You can simply, because you start with definition. The definition is also like two keywords in the definition, nothing else. So you just do that. Then for the recognition, it's again just like three words of criteria. Now, when you are doing the gap, writing the gap in your own words, you don't have to write it in sentences. You just like when you are doing the definition, just like one simple line that this is the definition, and then you say it's met, and like things like that. Then recognition, you can just like we recognize a PPNE if it's this and this, that's all. And then you do a one line analysis. So the point is you don't have to form full sentences that the definition of a PPNE or a tangible asset is this and this. Like, I'm just trying to say that you have to cut short on words that you do not need to write.
Yeah.
that
So
makes sense. Thank you so much.
yeah. So perhaps final words, guys, from our side would be, 10 days. It is still a very good time to shape up your preparation nicely. For students, obviously, always two sets of students. For students who feel that they are still not up to the mark, they are still preparing, they are still improving, still 10 days is a lot of time. For students who think and who know that they have been doing well, even those guys, you do not have to lose the handle at this point. You still need to keep the pedal up. Okay, your preparation was good, but just continue doing it in a disciplined fashion, which is why we suggested you to write only a couple of cases just to have that flow, revise your technicals, and just trust the process again. In these days, the summer is back in most provinces, so try to take that good walks. Just be happy about things. Be a bit, light on your mind. Don't stress. The more you stress, the more difficult it would get. you may still pass, but the process you would remember as always draining. It was
Once you pass, you always look back at this exam and you're like, wow, that was such a nice experience. Like we got to learn so much.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be good at the end. But the only thing that I would say is you have really come this far and it means a lot. You literally have put on so much hard work, so
Yeah.
much efforts. You've like compromised on social time, probably like family time as well, and you have been working so hard for this. It's only just the last leg, 10-15 days, and you will be done.
Yeah.
So it's, right now you are in a ride or die situation. So just like give your 100% in the remaining 10-15 days, literally 2 weeks that you have, and then you can relax and enjoy summers and everything. But just like push it right now, and then you will definitely be, grateful to yourself that you were able to achieve this, because it will change your life. So just like be positive. Again, don't go into the nitty-gritties of things a lot. Just keep it simple. You have to give your 100%, and then the result will obviously be good. You don't have to think that I will get RC on this and I am planning to get C on this. You can't plan that.
Yeah.
So just save yourself all that thought and effort and all the things. Just give your best to everything that you're doing.
Yeah. And as a comfort to all the students who have, gone through our course, and even others who were not a part of the course but have taken guidance or mentoring through us, all of you guys, what we feel as a generalization, all of you guys, even though there were some hiccups, but you all have been doing generally well.
And you
We
have
have
improved a lot.
we have been a bit critical, surely, on our feedback, which we wanted to, but all of you, generally speaking, have been doing well. And we are pretty hopeful of these next 10 days that you would keep on practicing more and you would do well in your cases. Like, we are pretty sure on that. Just try to follow our tips, because these are the tips. Surely we do give a lot of tips out of our own experience, but a lot of this also comes from other students, where other students are facing the challenges. So you are getting all of that in a capsule, maybe in like 1 hour 90 minutes. So just try to take our advice as positively as you can, and you would be just fine. So best of luck, guys, I would say that. And obviously there would be some best of luck messages before the exam days, but in person, e-meeting, whatever you want to say, best of luck to all of you, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you would guys would do well.
All the very best, everybody. And we're always there if you have any questions.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for
Yeah.
joining in. All the very best.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All the very best,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you for
Thanks,
all the
guys.
Thank you.
mentorship.
Thank you.
Really brought us
so much.
so far, so we'll make you proud.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.